Hi, it's Lucy, and today I'm here to do a video on the worst books that I read in 2019. I actually love doing this video. I think it's fun. Disclaimer. Obviously, if you like a book that I didn't like, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. That doesn't make me a bad person. We're all good people, unless you're a bad person for different reasons. And yeah, who cares? We move on. In this video, I will talk about books that I didn't like this year, or I just didn't enjoy for whatever reason. This is kind of a combination of most disappointing and worst books, but these were all rated 3 stars or under by me, the only person that matters. These are ranked. I don't normally do a ranking in this video, but I'm ranking my best books, so I might as well rank my worst books. The books that I talk about first are less bad and more disappointing, and the books that I finish off with are the worst books that I read in 2019. And these are the worst books that I read, not the worst books that came out in 2019. The first book that I want to talk to you guys about is Again But Better by Christine Riccio. This is, once again, more on the disappointing than actually terribly written or anything. I guess I'll give you guys brief synopses, but I don't want to make this video too long, and I'm not actually trying to convince you guys to read these books, so it doesn't matter to me. But Again But Better follows Shane, who is a college student. I forgot what year in college she's in, but she feels like she's been doing everything the same over and over again. She's in a major she doesn't want to do, pre-med, and then she finds out about a study abroad program where she can go to London, and she thinks that this will be the solver. This is how she'll solve all her problems. So she decides to go study abroad and change herself basically so that she can use this time to have kind of like a college do-over. For me, the reason it's on this list is just, it was so cringy. I cringed so often while reading sentences from the book that I just didn't like that much. The dialogue was cringy, the main character's actions cringy. She gives a guy she met literally 5 minutes ago. Please, I apologize for my cat. I'm sorry about that. She gives a guy she meets 5 minutes ago the worst nickname in existence. The nickname is Pies. Why would you ever call someone Pies? Why would you name someone a baked good? What is wrong with you? Also, he's a stranger. Anyway, there were other things, but that was the most blatant. And yeah, I just wasn't feeling it, so it's on this list. The next book that I will be talking to you guys about is Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor. This is the third book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and I hate saying the synopsis to this book, so I'm just not going to say it. The reason that I wasn't a huge fan of this book is that I just felt like it was too long, and I kind of wasted my time reading it. I figured out about halfway through the book that I wasn't as invested in the story as I thought I was, and yeah, it just was too long, and not enough happened. Overall, it was fine, but it wasn't that good, so it ends up on this list. It's the worst books of the books that I read. Tucker, give me that. Give it to me. Give me. I give you this so you can play quietly, and what do you do to me? Not play quietly. Next, we have A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. This is the second book in the, what is this series called? A Darker Shade of Magic series? Is that what it's called? I'm not sure. Once again, this was more disappointing than anything. I just finished this book, and my first thought was, why did I read this? What was the point? The only thing that seemed important to the plot was something that happened to the last 10%. Everything else seemed like filler, which I wasn't a huge fan of. This might have been more my fault than the book's fault. I don't know. It's been a while since I read the first book, so I guess I just didn't care about the characters as much as I thought I did anymore. I just didn't feel like it was provided useful information. It made me care even less about the characters somehow. Good news, I figured out what my cat was doing and I fixed it. Back to A Gathering of Shadows. It just didn't really provide a lot to me. I feel like a book that I finish and literally my first thought is, why did I just read that? Goes on this list. Now we're getting into the actually bad books. Next on the list is Four Dead Queens by Astrid Schuldt. This follows 17-year-old Carolee, who's one of Kadara's best thieves, most successful thieves, I guess, or whatever. But now one of her thievery jobs, whatever, goes awry, and she's caught up in a conspiracy to kill the 4 queens of Kadara. And that's basically all you need to know. There's a love interest who I didn't like. And yeah, what I didn't like about this book is just the whole story felt off. Everything about the storytelling, the actual presentation of the book includes perspectives from the 4 queens who die. It felt really weird, especially considering that the synopsis gives you the impression that there is one main character who we do follow, but then we also get the perspectives of these other characters who you don't expect, you know are gonna die, so you know not to get attached to them, or at least I did. And at first I thought it was a cool thing where it's like, oh, you have to see them like right before they die and like maybe get some hints on the mystery, but we kept getting their perspectives, so it just felt really repetitive. The world building felt really off as well. The world sounds like it could be interesting. There's like 4 quadrants in the country, kingdom, whatever, queendom, and they each have their own specialities. The love interest is part of the smart quadrant. There's like one for artists, one for farmers. The weird thing is that they don't have any contact with each other, and the queens from each of those quadrants can't go back to their own quadrants, which makes no sense. Like they can't see their own people. That doesn't sound like a good way to lead people. It wasn't really explained how they got that way either, except that the king died and somehow there were 4 queens. I don't remember if there was a better explanation than that, but it wasn't that much better if there was. I didn't like the main character, Carolee. She was really annoying, and everything she did made no real sense. The whole like main adventure where she goes off with this guy she tried to steal from didn't make sense why she trusted him, because in the very beginning of the book she's betrayed by someone she's known for over 10 years. So literally the next guy she meets, she immediately trusts. That doesn't make sense. She claims to be very, very smart, but all of her actions are dumb. And yeah, I just was not a fan of this book. And I kept reading, even though I wasn't enjoying it. I kept reading because I was like, the resolution will do something for me. It didn't. This is probably the lesson I should take from 2019's reading. If I'm not enjoying a book, the resolution is not going to make up for it. It almost never does. And this list is proof of that, because there's a few other books where I'm like, maybe I'll like the ending so much it'll make up for not enjoying the whole story. Next we have The Love Interest by Cale Dietrich. This is actually a bad book. Like, everything about it is kind of bad. We basically follow our main character, who's a part of a secret organization of spies called The Love Interest. And basically the organization tries to get one of their operatives to be the love interest for someone that they think will be important in the future. And so to do this, they have the guys be either a bad boy or a good guy, nice guy. And we follow a nice guy who, after he's been assigned to someone to try and become their love interest, they always send the nice guy and the bad guy. And the person that they're trying to like woo chooses one of them, and the one of them that they don't choose gets killed. And that's a premise. It sounds like it could be really interesting, really fun. We love spies here, or I thought I did. And then like the big twist is that the love interest we're following ends up falling for the bad guy love interest. I did going into this book thinking it would be like some kind of parody kind of thing, but everything in it was so nonsensical. It didn't read correctly. The writing and dialogue were so awkward. No one would ever speak the way that any of these characters spoke. The person they're trying to woo, I can't remember what they called them, was like a mad scientist low-key, and she just casually had a laboratory in her backyard where she was literally making bombs and nobody cared. The romance in here between the main character and the girl he's supposed to like try and get did not exist, but that was fine because you know that he didn't really like her. But the romance that was supposed to exist between the main character and the other spy, so weird, did not make any sense why they liked each other at all so quickly, anything that happened. Also, how the whole organization operated didn't make any sense. Why are they sending 17-year-olds to try and like infiltrate like people that they think are important? Wouldn't it make sense to wait till they're a little older? Most people don't stay with their high school sweethearts in life, like just statistically, so nothing makes sense. And once again, this was another book that I read because I was like, I want to see how it ends. I did not want to see how it ended. It was not a good ending. It did not make up for the horrible writing. Next we have Odd One Out. This was a combination of being disappointing and also just not very good. I did not enjoy reading this book. Literally after the first page, I probably should have DNF'd it. Basically, we follow 3 people who end up in this weird love triangle kind of thing that I thought was gonna be like a polyamorous kind of love triangle and like explore polyamory in like a healthy and fun way. It was not that. It was just characters having crushes on each other, but really just treating one person in particular like garbage. And I know that these are teenagers and they're allowed to make mistakes, and teenagers can make dumb decisions, but I think this goes beyond that. I really do. The book starts off with the male main character walking into his best, who's a girl and a lesbian, and she's in like a t-shirt and shorts because it's her room and it's the summertime. And he's like, oh my God, you need to put on clothes. You need to put on clothes right now. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm in my home. And he's like, if you don't put on clothes right now, I'm going to show you my boner. And I was like, what? Maybe I'm a prude. I didn't grow up with a lot of close male friends, but what? And then we proceed to find out that he is waiting for his lesbian best friend to figure out that he is the one exception and that she actually does like this one specific man. So that whole thing just turned me off. I didn't know it was going to be like that. I thought it was going to be more of a exploration of bisexuality. I think there's another book that might have done this better, where it's like, oh, you think that you're gay, but it turns out like, oh, actually I can't be attracted to men. That's fine. But the way that idea is explored in this is not in any way healthy or productive. The writing as well also felt super awkward for me, and it read as really childish a lot of the time. If you are adult enough, I guess, or not adult, but like grown enough to like casually talk about like boners and masturbation to your friends, it's really weird, this is a direct quote, to talk about feeling something strange down in your secret place. And it wasn't said in any kind of sarcastic tone or anything. Like, I think it was like her journal entry that she wrote. So it was incredibly weird. And there was a lot of like little tidbits of dialogue where it all of a sudden just became incredibly juvenile. There were other things I didn't like about it, but I feel like I've talked about it enough in this video. We're down to the final two. Next, we have Sahil Girls by Claire Legrand. This one was weird to me because I could recognize that the book was well written, and I didn't like it. I did not enjoy any process of reading it. There was a specific thing that I really didn't like, and I have been avoiding spoilers for this whole video, but I think I am gonna spoil it. So if you want to avoid that spoiler, you can skip to the next book after I tell you the synopsis, I guess. The timestamp will be here and in the comments in the description box down below. Yeah, so this basically follows three girls who live on Sahil Rock. For years on Sahil Rock, there have been girls who have been going missing, and nobody's really doing anything about it. So these three girls get entwined in that somehow. That was a terrible synopsis, I'm sorry. But once again, I'm not here to tell you to read it. I'm literally doing the opposite. It features an FF romance. However, I hated it. I hated it with a passion. It was so awful to me. The idea of their relationship. Basically, this is a spoiler part. Marion, is that her name? I think Marion has a crush on Val. Fine. All right. She's very pretty. She's popular. She's rich. Go ahead, have a crush on her. Her new friend Zoe is like, hey, I think Val has something to do with all these missing girls. And one of those missing girls, remember, is your sister. Zoe provides lots of evidence that this is the case. Marion is like, maybe. And then she goes, had sex with Val. Okay, I guess. That's a lot. But no, it gets worse because now there is actual evidence. Val has admitted, I am the one who has led many girls to their deaths. Not only deaths, but very painful, horrifying deaths where they were screaming, they were being eaten alive. And remember, one of those was your sister. Marion's like, that sucks, you know? My family only has two people in it, my mom and me, because you helped kill my sister? Yeah, that sucks. I'm still gonna try and hook up with you, make out with you, continue this love interest thing, be on your side. It doesn't make sense. This was not enough of a fantasy to warrant that kind of suspension of disbelief that someone would find out that someone basically killed their sister and is like, actually, I still love you. It's not even like they had this long established relationship. It's like, oh, I thought I knew you. She didn't know her at all. She knew her for like 5 days. What is happening? I was so baffled the whole time. And because it's 2 out of 3 main characters who are involved in this relationship, so it's not like I could escape it. So that really actually ruined the book for me. And there were other parts of the book that I didn't like, but every time it just goes back to, she killed your sister. That is all I'm thinking. So that is basically the ultimate reason why I didn't like that book. And honestly, I did keep reading because I was hoping the resolution would fix it somehow. I really thought Val was gonna die. I was like, it'll be the ultimate sacrifice. It'll be so good. Not so good, but that's the only way I could see anyone ever forgiving Val. Yeah, Marion will be sad. She can find someone else to love. You know, there are lots of other girls around who didn't kill your sister. And no, instead Marion goes away. What the heck? What? I know she comes back at the end, but still, what? And now the last book, which if you have been on my channel recently, you already know what this book is. It is The Magicians by Love Grossman. This, I've decided, is the worst book that I've read this year. This could just be because it is the most recent book I've read on this list, and that's why it takes this top spot. I don't know. This follows a guy whose name I literally forgot. Quentin, that's his name, who finds out that he's a magician, and then he goes to college magical school to learn about being a magician. What can I say about this? What can I say? One of the worst parts of this book is that every woman is described by the curvature of her breasts and how attractive she is to Quentin. If she is attractive to Quentin, she is good. If she is not attractive to Quentin, she is bad or irrelevant. If she is no longer attractive to Quentin, she is definitely irrelevant. Yeah, that's how every woman is described. Women and men are described in completely unequal and different ways. It'd be one thing, I guess, if he noticed certain details about men, but he doesn't. Men are described basically normally, and women are just not. So that was bad. The other bad thing about this was the pacing, the length of this book. It was so long. I felt like I was reading this for my whole life. It was so long. We are only at the school for about half of the book, and then the second half of the book, we end up doing other things. We're going into like parallel worlds that don't make sense, and why are we here? I was really like that the whole time. Hi, so I ran out of space while recording, so forgive me if the lighting has changed. I had to set up one of my external lights, so hopefully it looks fine. What I was saying about The Magician, yeah, it's just incredibly weirdly paced, too long. You don't want to continue reading. And if you are reading and you're like, maybe I'll like the ending, then you're wrong. You won't like the ending. You should give up on the book. Like I should have given up on the book, but I didn't. So now we're talking about it in this video. Yeah, so the whole part of the story, you think there's like a lesson on maybe how your dreams don't always come out how you think they will. For example, Quentin, as a magician, kind of is like, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world. And then he slowly becomes like more disillusioned by that, or at least you think he is. And then all the events of the book happen and you're like, I guess this is the lesson. But then the end of the book completely negates that. It makes no sense. It made everything incredibly pointless. Most of the book was already pretty pointless. Like I said, I don't know if it got cut off, but the book should have been split in two, or there should have been more foreshadowing for the second half, I think, in the first half or something. It was just a lot, and I don't want to talk about it anymore, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Those were my worst books of 2019, progressively worse. If you have read and enjoyed any of these books, let me know in the comments down below. Tell me why you liked it. Tell me why I'm wrong if you want to, respectfully, please. Or don't be respectful. I'll probably delete your comment. What else is there to say? Some people I've seen doing these videos are like, I'm not here to tell you what to read or not to read, but I kind of am. Like, that's kind of why we're here. You want to know my opinions on the books so that you can decide whether you want to read them yourself. So these are my opinions. Use that to decide whether you want to read them. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up in the comments down below. Do what I said before, or tell me if you read these books and also disliked them. Let me know what are some of your worst books of 2019, or all of them, any of them. Tell me things in the comments down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media. I have Twitter and Instagram. Follow my Instagram if you want to see lots of pictures of my cat. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.